Well, what do we have here? It's the boys in blue in North Carolina. And are they up to no good? Yes, and that should come as a surprise to nobody. 180 cases dismissed after dashcam bodycam of North Carolina trooper at deadly crash scene raised questions. Two state troopers were under investigation after the Wake County District Attorney said they gave false information to police. Wow, that should put you on the Brady list. Raleigh, North Carolina. Also, Raleigh, a dumpster fire masquerading as a city. Two North Carolina State Highway Patrol officers are on administrative leave, and dozens of cases have been dismissed after the Wake County District Attorney said they gave false information to Raleigh police during an investigation. So far, 180 court cases involving at least one state trooper have been dismissed, Wake County District Attorney Lorrin Freeman confirmed. She told ABC 11 that she had no choice but to dismiss the case because of doubts about Trooper Garrett Macario's reliability and credibility as a witness. It's incredibly frustrating. We trust our law enforcement to tell the truth, and when we have reason to believe that they aren't, it's disgusting. Frankly, it's frustrating, Freeman said. Do we really trust them? Because we've seen them time and time again being big fat liar pants on fires. But she says we trust our law enforcement to tell the truth. They're supposed to. Rarely do they. Freeman confirmed she is also reviewing cases handled by another state trooper, Sergeant Matthew Morrison. She anticipates dismissal in his cases as well, and also more cases involving Macario. I would hope what the community takes away from this is the vast number of cases going through the system, and that officers in Wake County are doing a good job and want to do the right thing, she said. Are they? Okay. As of January 10th, both troopers are on administrative leave, paid administrative leave. So not only were they lying and got caught because you write a report, and then sometimes you have to write a supplement because you might remember a couple things. You're like, damn, I forgot that. Okay, so I need to write a supplement in my report. So you amend it, you write a supplement, and here's a supplement. And then somebody reads it and they're like, can this be right? And then they look at body cam footage and they're like, oh, this is completely wrong. Anyway, how the investigation unfolded. The investigation started in December when the State Bureau of Investigation received a tip about a deadly car crash along Capitol Boulevard in October. According to Freeman, Macario was involved in the investigation. She said that after watching the body cam and dash cam of his exchange with Raleigh police officers at the crash scene, she determined he gave misleading or false information to those officers. Freeman said Macario's credibility was impaired and made the call to dismiss dozens of cases he had investigated. She said the majority of them were driving while impaired, DWI cases. We're going to do the right thing as prosecutors and step up and seek justice. It's important we do it right away. We do it the right way. We have to be able to rely on officers to speak the truth, and that's in question. When that's in question, we have a responsibility to not move forward in those cases, Freeman said. The SBI has been tapped to lead the investigation into the case. It's not yet known whether the troopers in question will face criminal charges. Likely not, because State Bureau investigation. Okay, that sounds like that's important. They won't. They all cover for each other. Dismissals frustrate victims' advocates. The dismissals were also frustrating for victims' advocates like Ollie Jefferson from Mothers Against Drunk Driving. You know, somehow they always seem to get the victim. They may be victimized again, because if the case is dismissed, then that means that they are left without restitution, she said. They are left without any compensation for what they endured. Some cases involved a hit and run, reckless driving, speeding, and in some cases where the driver blew more than double the limit. Jefferson hopes, as some drivers may get off on a technicality, they don't take a second chance for granted. So I hope they will learn from this and say, I'm not going drink and drive again. I'm not going to drive impaired again. I'll get out and be responsible. I get a designated driver, and that's why I'll be responsible, she said. Okay, so why were they not be responsible for restitution out of their own pocket? They lied. And then they lied again. So what does this one have to say? North Carolina troopers under investigation about 180 traffic cases dismissed. This one was from and there's not a lot of it. They're pretty tight-lipped. January 25th. I was kind of waiting to see if there was an update. This was the only one. January 27th, 2 days later. Not a lot of... I'm trying to figure out what it is that they found that they have lied about. I read a bunch of articles. These are the 2 articles that have the most information. Then I got 3 short videos. And surely we'll get to the bottom of what it was they lied about. North Carolina troopers under investigation about 180 traffic cases dismissed. And like I said, this is from January 27th. Raleigh, North Carolina. Again, dumpster fire. 180 cases involving 2 state highway patrol troopers dismissed under review. Wake County after question about the credibility of the troopers arose, according to Wake County District Attorney Lorrin Freeman. The state has decided to not move forward approximately 180 cases involving Trooper Garrett Macario and are reviewing about a dozen cases involving his supervisor, Sergeant Matthew. Well, the supervisor, wow, that must be the small. No, let's see. These troopers are, I think, 26 and 25. They have been troopers since they were 21. Because in North Carolina, you have to go through basic law enforcement training. You have to either turn 21 in basic law enforcement training or turn 21 about to graduate. Upon your you have to 21 to graduate basic law enforcement training. That's like, I don't know. Every time I turn around, they change it. 6, 7, maybe 8 months. I don't know. Then you got to go to what they call trooper school. Once you graduate BLET, you pass your graduate BLET. Then you go to trooper school, and that's another, I don't know, 9 months, I guess. So 22 maybe, because one of them said he was 25 and he had been since 2021. So if he'd been a trooper since 2021, that made him 21 as a trooper. And because he's 25, and anyway, 22 maybe. Review 180K, yeah, trooper, and some of the actions come into question. Freeman said her office was made aware of credibility issues, Raleigh accident, where I know about that. Received information last week, December, had been an incident. A 1-car fatality on Capitol Boulevard in October, in which the interaction of the trooper on the scene had come into question. State Bureau of Investigation reached out to me with this information based on what they were able to tell me. I requested to review the body cam and dash cam from that day involving Trooper Macario. Trooper Macario, here we go. Dickhead hat. Young, dumb, likely got a shaved head. 20-ish-year-olds have zero business being in law enforcement. Trust and believe. We have a 30-year-old and love him to death, but he's not the brightest. He's not in law enforcement. I'm just saying. And that's Macario. During the review, Freeman said she concluded that there were statements that were made by the trooper that appear to be false and misleading. And they'll say, oh, Giglio list, because a lot of people don't know what that is. It's the Brady list. They have to always rename something so people don't put 2 and 2 together. It's the Brady list. And when you're on the Brady list, that used to be a thing. That meant you were a big fat liar, pants on fire. You can't testify in court because you're a liar. So then if they're out there writing tickets, and you could just go to court and contest it because they can't testify. And which makes it, what is the point of keeping them in a uniform? Because the unions have to keep uniforms filled so they can keep their pockets full of money. False and misleading prompted her to open an investigation by the State Bureau of Investigation. Ooh, that'll teach them. It will not. The state also decided not to move forward in pending cases involving Macario, leading to the dismissal of about 180 cases that Freeman said were predominantly related to driving while impaired charges under state law, and our ethical responsibility as prosecutors. When we have witnesses who we believe their credibility is an issue, we have a responsibility not to call them as a witness. You can't actually call them as a witness when they're on a list. It's a government list. They're known to be untruthful, and when you go to testify, you put your left hand on the Bible and you raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear to tell truth, whole truth, and nothing but truth, so help me God. Yes, yes, Judge. Thank you very much. And they already know that they're liars. So that whole little show can't go down either. Here's another one. As a result of the review into Macario, Freeman said the credibility of his direct supervisor Morrison also came into question without getting into details about. They won't get into details about the investigation, and I don't understand why. Because this is the transparency that you pay for. There was information in the body cam and dash cam video that I reviewed that also gave rise to concern about his credibility, Freeman said, saying about a dozen cases involving Morrison that were separate from the ones involving Macario are under review as well. Again, looks like he got a little bit of hair. He might not be completely shaved head, but dickhead hat. Freeman said one of the things taken into consideration is the dismissal of these cases. In the dismissal of these cases, is that they're pretty much one witness cases. A driving while impaired case is almost always a one witness case. It's as much the officer who was conducting the stop. It's as much the officer who has conducted the stop based on speeding or whatever else they may base. Whatever else may be the basis of the stop, that then grows into driving while impaired, said Freeman. So when you have a single witness case and that witness now can't be called for trial, or you see challenges in being able to call them for trial, your option often is just to take a dismissal in those cases. North Carolina State Highway Patrol confirmed that both Macario and Morrison were placed on leave on administrative duty effective January 10th. Macario was hired February 10th, 2019. North Carolina State Highway Patrol records show Morrison was hired in 2012. That's 13. That makes him 33. Somebody said it earlier, he was like 27 or 28. So they must have misspoke. Okay, so anyway. Freeman said a State Bureau investigation is underway, but no charges have been filed against either Macario or Morrison, and they may not face any charges at all. Likely they will face nothing, and they'll still be out there writing a bunch of fucking tickets because they are a money-making entity for the state. State troopers, State Highway Patrol, whatever they're called where you live, they are nothing more than a money-making entity for the state. The more tickets they can write, the more revenue they will generate, and the more promotions they will get. So get another job because they're getting some bonuses. An administrative investigation by the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, which is often standard procedure when members are put on administrative leave, is also likely. Ooh, that'll teach them. It will not. That means nothing. That is for show. There will be no accountability. Zero. I'm almost betting because I looked earlier to see if there was any more updates, and there were not. Here's a couple videos. They're pretty short. Let's see if they're going to tell us anything.
Right, Lorrin and Steve, and advocates say it's rare to see that many cases dropped in one fell swoop, and it's, to be honest, something that the district attorney said she didn't want to do. These are some serious cases that she had every intention of prosecuting, but she says she had no choice but to drop those cases because of the actions of this trooper would have called all those cases into question. The story begins last October, a one-car accident on Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, killing 31-year-old Tyrone Mason. What at first seemed like a cut-and-dry case now leading to an investigation, after the Wake County DA was tipped off that the first officer on scene, Trooper Garrett Macario, may have misled Raleigh police officers who then came to the scene.
And they keep saying may have misled, yet we can't know what the misleading was. This is the transparency that we all pay for.
About what he was doing.
And so that led me to obtain dash cam and body cam video from the responding troopers or from the troopers' video equipment. And in reviewing that, I came to the determination that we had concerns regarding the credibility of that trooper.
The DA wouldn't elaborate on what those credibility issues were from that night, but now both Trooper Macario and his supervisor Matthew Morrison under investigation. But that's also impacting nearly 200 cases.
Also, we have a right to know what is going on with these little thugs that we are forced to pay.
Cases where Macario was a key witness, mostly DWI cases, which have now been dismissed. Something the DA says was a difficult decision.
Oh, it's incredibly frustrating. I mean, it's, one, we trust our law enforcement to tell the truth. And when we have reason to believe that they're not, it's disgusting, frankly. And
we should expect they tell the truth. Rarely do they, and rarely is there any consequences for their actions. And rarely can we even know what the issue is. It's total bullshit.
Frustrating.
Those dismissals also frustrating for victims advocates like Ollie Jeffers from Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Somehow they always seem to get be victims, and they be victimized again, because if the case is dismissed, then that means that they are again They're left without restitution.
How about the liar pants on fire paid the restitution out of their own damn pocket?
They're left without any compensation for what they, for what they endured.
A quick search of some of those cases found hit and runs, reckless driving, speeding as much as 79 in a 40-mile-per-hour zone, and some cases where drivers blew more than double the legal limit. She just hopes, as many of those cases are now dismissed, that they don't take those second chances for granted.
So I hope they will learn from this and say, I'm not going to drink and drive again. I'm not going to drive impaired again. I'll be responsible.
Now, as for the investigation into those two troopers, SBI taking the lead on that investigation right now. Again, both of those troopers are on administrative leave. No word on any potential charges at this point in connection with all of this, but all still unfolding right now. In Raleigh, Tom George, ABC 11, Eyewitness News.
Okay, so stop. Let's see if we learn anything from this one. Dickhead hats. Should say paid administrative leave. They don't want you to know you're paying for them to sit home and not do nothing.
Now at 5:30, 2 Highway Patrol troopers are on administrative leave, and 180 cases have been dismissed after an investigation into the troopers' credibility. It all stems from this deadly crash that happened in October on Capitol Boulevard. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lena Tillett.
And I'm Ashley Rowe. The Wake County DA is calling this investigation concerning and disturbing. WRL's Chelsea Donovan spoke with her, joining us now live at the Wake County Justice Center. Chelsea.
Yeah, actually, we've moved outside of Troop C. This is where those two troopers were headquartered. Now, District Attorney Lorrin Freeman says it was a tip from the SBI that she got that raised questions about these troopers
Department
and
of
their
Public
credibility
Safety.
after they responded to a crash last October on Capitol Boulevard. All of this has led to nearly 200 cases being dismissed, and there's more likely to come. More than 150 cases marked disposed now on the court's website. All of these cases involve 26-year-old Garrett Macario, a trooper with the Highway Patrol.
We took action immediately once it was brought to our attention.
What caught the eye of the DA and the SBI was this wreck on October 7th on Capitol Boulevard, where a 31-year-old man died.
I was able to get access to dashcam and bodycam from that day, and as a result of that, I've opened a broader investigation.
District Attorney Lorrin Freeman says she's got questions about whether Macario and another trooper, Sergeant Matthew Morrison, obstructed an investigation.
It's resulted in us having to take dismissals over the past week, and close to 180 cases, largely driving while impaired cases.
Because of what she saw in that dash and body camera video, nearly all of Macario's cases dating back to 2021 have been dismissed.
So what did she find? Let's see if we're going to figure that out.
Trooper Macario historically has been a very, aggressive and good officer when it
You can't be aggressive and good at the same time. Just saying.
Comes to driving while impaired enforcement cases.
Take a look at this post from a Garner Heroes Breakfast, even highlighting
Heroes Breakfast.
Macario's career. It shows hundreds of arrests.
Arrested 133 impaired drivers. Now, if a breathalyzer, or then I have to take them down for an intoxilizer, says yes, they blew, then that's, but 811 speeding violations. Here's how it works in North Carolina. North Carolina is an absolute state when it comes to speed limits, which means if the speed limit is 55, the speed limit is 55. If you're going 56 and a 55, you're speeding, and yes, they can write you a ticket for that. Now, around here, generally, do they? No. They take into consideration what's the road conditions, how fast were you going, what was the speed limit, where were you at. Now, if you're in a school zone, there's usually zero tolerance, and for good reason. But usually, you have to be more than like 7 or 8 over, and then based on where you're at. Like if you're in a residential area, or if the speed limit's like 35 and you're going, you catch their attention. Most of the time, if you're going 10 under, they'll give you a warning. If you're not, and I know, if you're not an asshole, when they walk up and you say something like, "Do you know who I am?" or "I pay your salary," don't get off on the wrong foot, because you can talk yourself right into a speeding ticket. Usually, if you're going less, like if you're in a 55-mile-an-hour zone and you're going less than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, they'll stop you and they'll be like, hey, you're going a bit fast. We're going to need to slow it down. Okay, but now if they catch you again, they're probably going to scratch that ticket. Usually, in my experience around here, they're not so quick to write a ticket. They're more about educating the public. Hey, the speed limit's 55 and you're going 63. You might need to slow it down, or because if I have to stop you again, I'm going to have to write you a ticket. They've generally, in my experience, been good about that around here. Now, that being said, not all of them. Once you get interstate, you get further away from the area, you get into Winston-Salem, Raleigh, Charlotte, dumpster fires masquerading as cities. They're more. Now, I would like to know what these 811. I would like to know the speed and the speed limit on these violations. I'm just saying.
And violations, and a beyond expectation performance on the roads.
The public is going to...
Of course, they're beyond expectations. They're generating a shit ton of revenue for the state so they can hire more dickhead hats.
See this story and think about, where is my confidence now in law enforcement, those who take the oath?
We believe that credibility among law enforcement is essential to the work that we do on a daily basis. And, we need, in order to be able to seek justice, we've got to be able to trust our officers.
Now, it's important to know that neither one of these troopers have been charged with any sort of crime. This is still all part of an investigation. In regard to Sergeant Matthew Morrison, she expects many of his cases, too, will be dismissed in this investigation. However, it will be far less than that 180 number regarding the other troopers. Live in Raleigh, Chelsea Donovan, WRL News.
All right.
Now,
stop. So, let's see if this one will tell us anything that we don't already know. Surely we'll learn something about it.
2 North Carolina Highway Patrol troopers are now on administrative leave. Now, this all started with an investigation into a deadly chase and then a crash that happened in Raleigh. This happening back in October. So the findings now resulted in the Wake County District Attorney's Office dismissing 180 cases, some dating back to 2021. And it surrounds Sergeant Garrett Macario and his supervisor, Sergeant Matthew Morrison. So Wake County District Attorney Lorrin Freeman says that she found evidence that raised questions about Macario's credibility. Let's bring in Chief Legal Analyst Clive Rhodes to this conversation. Clive, I do want to make it very clear that these officers have not been charged with any crime, but they're now being investigated. So do we know what the District Attorney's Office now discovered that just had all this be a concern?
Inconsistencies. I mean, she looked at the video specifically from this crash, and when looking at the video, you can see what's happening on the video, but then he makes statements on the video that were totally different than what she could see on the video, which led her to believe that, okay, let me look at some more of his cases. Pulled up other instances of his DWIs, and you can see inconsistencies in there, and she made the statement that we live in a body camera footage era.
Also, go into a police department and ask them to show you around. Some will, some won't. And just walk through and walk around and look and see the amount of people that are sitting around getting taxpayer money and doing absolutely nothing. There should be a few people sitting there taking reports and dashcam, bodycam video, reading the report and looking at the video 24 hours a day, 7 damn days a week. And you would probably be surprised at the amount of shit like this that goes on all the time that is never brought to light.
And because we're in this era, everything is recorded. I mean, as a criminal defense attorney, I'm happy when I see those types of things on the stand. Right. I look at the body cam footage specifically for DWIs, and I'm looking for inconsistencies. And so I'll look at their written statement, I'll look at the body cam footage, and if I see something that doesn't look, consistent, I'll call them out on the stand and I'll say, hey, do you remember when this happened? What did you say here? What did you do here? And if they say something even inconsistent to what happened on the video in this document, then I got him.
So
and those are the types of things you're looking for when you're defending this case. As a prosecutor, you're looking for your officers, your troopers, to be truthful. So if you see someone that's not being truthful, you have to figure out, okay, is this just a one-off situation, or is this something that's happening more and more and more? And what they found is obviously this wasn't a one-off.
Okay, and my question for you, though, is if I was to...
It's almost never a one-of. It's usually been going on and going on and going on. And until somebody's killed or they kill somebody, nothing comes to light. This shit has got to stop.
Give you a written statement as to what happened. Don't the officers watch the body camera video footage first?
No,
Nope.
that's not how it happens. And so typically what happens is there is an incident that occurred. Say, for instance, this incident where there's a DWI. I will be in the process of creating an affidavit. As the former chief magistrate, they would have submitted that affidavit to my office, and then we would review the affidavit and listen to written testimony. So they're not looking at the body cam footage because it's a little camera. It's no playback. That will be stored to some type of cloud or something, and then when we, as a criminal defense attorney, we request that body cam footage, we'll see it, the prosecutors will see it, and oftentimes they don't even look at it. And so when I come to trial, specifically if I'm defending someone, I may have been the only person that's looked at this. Now, if it's a long time, say it's a year or 2 years, then yeah, maybe the officer will look at it to refresh their recollection of what happened. But for the most part, overwhelming majority of the time, they're not looking at this before they go to trial, and they're definitely not looking at it before they submit the affidavit, because that's happening in real time. You're submitting that affidavit to get the charges taken out on the person. So that's going to be from memory, from what you remember.
So when you talk about the responding officers and you hear words like not being truthful, not being credible, besides cases being dismissed, what other kind of outcomes could play from this?
I mean, typically the cases being dismissed is the death blow, because if you think about it, this officer now, if you can't be truthful, if I can't trust you, I can't put you on the stand. And so now
And if you can't be trusted, and you can't be truthful, and you can't be put on the stand, why are they filling a uniform making probably, I don't know, $100,000 a year, $120,000 a year? That is absolutely ridiculous.
Placed on something called a Giglio list. When you're placed on that Giglio
That's
list,
what I was saying before. It's the Brady list. It's because you have problems being truthful.
they have an
And that's the least that can get you on the Brady list.
obligation. They, as in the prosecutor, to explain that and to release that information to defense attorneys. If this person, you know they have a history to be untruthful, you have an obligation to let me know that, so now I can defend my client in a manner which will say, hey, this person may not play, the game fair. I need to be aware of that before I walk into the room.
Colleague Rose, again, we always appreciate your insight. I've learned so much. Thank you so
Again, another complete shit show. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe, and I'm out.
much.